Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Live Market Analysis. It's a pleasure to be with you as we check out markets and see what's good, what's not so good, and what we can't control, really, which is it all. We can't control any of it, but we can control ourselves. That's the message. Let us talk about the disclaimer before we get started about controlling ourselves in the markets. Really, that's what the disclaimer is all about, isn't it? You're in control of you. Everything you do is your responsibility, and managing your money, I think, is a very important responsibility. And you either put that faith in somebody else, not me, or take on that responsibility yourself. Personally, I like the idea of doing it myself because I trust myself to do the right thing. Always remember that if your objectives or needs, if there's any confusion about that, please seek the help of a financial professional. The agenda for today is very simple. We're going to look at the markets. You're going to ask questions. I'm going to give you my best technical analysis reader. It could be anything about trading. It could be anything to do about stocks, commodities, bonds, crypto. Without further ado, let's head over to the AMI Broker screen, and we're going to kick off today with our portfolio management model. And this is where we try to understand how much risk we should have in the market at any one point in time. You know where your money is apportioned, whether that be here in Australia on screen, just happen to be doing this one first today, or in the USA. We'll look at that in a second. And we have this concept of full risk position, which is we're allowed to, we don't have to, but we're allowed to invest all of our capital. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? So, Carl, surely shouldn't you keep some in cash for a rainy day? If you've found great trades in a bull market, be invested. That's the whole point. I mean, the worst thing you can do in a bull market is not be invested. But if the market starts to come off, if we start to see signs that the price action, the trends and the candles aren't conducive to having full risk, then we'll take some action. And then we will be in cash. We'll actually be in quite high proportions of cash for your typical balanced fund because, we could knock a third off very quickly. Whereas your typical balanced fund can have no more than between 5 or 10% cash. That's a typical sort of mandate for your balanced fund. We're talking about the super of the future. Remember that? It was Bernie Fraser, isn't it, that used to do those ads, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he used to say, it's the super of the future, and these balanced funds, of which about 80% of Australia's wealth sits in right now via our superannuation, can have no more than 10% cash, and that's in the worst case, and they very rarely get there. Yet we can go to a third cash like that if we have to. We can go to 2/3 cash if the market's looking rubbish. We could go to zero risk position if in a bear market, but of course we'd have shorts in the system. So I think this model, in my opinion, is far superior to anything you're going to get in your balanced fund, which must be mandated. Think about this. Your balanced fund in the worst bear market, and you all felt this in there, for those of you old enough to have been invested during the GFC, remember what your super funds did in the GFC? They got smashed. Okay, and you're probably, why am I paying these clowns to lose me money? Well, those clowns are mandated to have 90% invested all the way down. It's frightening. So I digress a little bit, but we are discussing why having portfolio management like this puts you in far better stead than your typical balanced fund. And where is it now? Long story short, it's still full risk position. Yes, there's a couple of, not ideal candles at the end there. I mean, that's still got a lower shadow. That one's fine. That one's not perfect. And then today, what do we do today? It looks bad at the start. It felt pretty bad in the morning. And then, we just rally throughout the day. We close near the highs. Such is the bull market sort of way. Bouncing off that short-term trend perfectly. Otherwise, we're still, I was going to say rising troughs. We're not rising troughs because there's a little trough there. So this trough, if it is a trough, if it's not a trough, there'll be another trough somewhere. It's going to be lower than this one, but we're still rising peaks. Look, it's a little bit indeterminate. It's a little bit equilibrium, but the tiniest bit compared to that green short-term uptrend and then this incredible long-term uptrend. I'm not fussed. If anything, the price action's getting very tight, isn't it? Very tight, very choppy. It's a little bit of a volatile one. It's not exactly this clear-cut, unanimous vote of confidence in the market. I think that's pretty obvious, but it's nothing to be worried about, in my opinion here. Hey, I don't know what's going to happen next. We could literally be at the top of this bull market, and we may not see these highs for another 10 years. I don't know, but what we will know as the price action develops is when to move to those lower risk levels. We're certainly not going to do that today on the Nasdaq because that's literally as good as you can get. It's got a date with destiny, much like Bitcoin had a date with destiny at 100,000. It looks like the Nasdaq Composite's got a date with destiny at 20. And the candles are perfect. The price action's perfect, and the trends are perfect. There's nothing I can say bad about it. I will point out though, I'm not trying to cover my ass here at all. And so, just so that next week I can say, well, I did warn you that this is not what this is about. But just illustrating, we don't know what's going to happen next. And I reckon on this day here, I was telling you the same thing. Okay, so it's just about doing the work, and that's all we're doing. We're just doing the work. We come back the next day, and we make that decision, don't we? Because on that day there, it looked as good as it does today. That literally could be today. And then tomorrow we could get that black candle, which just turns the market for a bit, and then in 3 months' time we're back at highs again. We just take what we can get. We take what we get, and that's the mentality we must have as traders. We can't control that thing, so don't waste the mental energy on worrying about where it's going to go tomorrow. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Full risk position on both of those. Is there anything that can push me off this position? Russell 2000, is that enough to push me off this position? Hey, you've been listening to me every Monday night for an hour and a half for the last God knows how long. What do you reckon? Is that enough to push us off our full risk position based upon the Nasdaq, which is our benchmark for risk management? And I don't think it is. Is it ideal? No, it's not. You can see that. You'd rather it look like the Nasdaq with those white candles than having those black candles, because this is again the heart of corporate America. So I can't say that too much. But otherwise, apart from a few dodgy candles at the end, look at the trends. Trends are fine. I'm not stressed about that. We're still high peaks there. In fact, higher troughs as well, so not worried about that. I don't look at the S&P 500, completely meaningless to me. The Nasdaq covers that just fine. The Russell 2000, however, is something different. That's why I do look at it. We can look at the mid caps. That's a little bit different again. Russell's are smalls, and then we've got the mids there. But there's clearly nothing to worry about just yet. If the market is worried about something that we don't know about, it's not showing it, and that's kind of the message. Let's head over to Europe. We've got the French market finally getting a little bit of a spark there, isn't it? Maybe it's because President-elect Trump is over there hand wrestling, what's the right word? The French president. We've got the DAX there. Isn't that wonderful? That's certainly picked up since we looked at it last. And again, we're not seeing anything to push us off our full risk position thesis. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be in Spain right now? Heading over to Asia, well, that's a good day, isn't it? We did get a pretty good session today in China. I think there was some talk of some stimulus, or maybe there was some stimulus on it. So I didn't see it, but I will catch up on that for you at some stage today. And the Nikkei, actually, on that point of stuff I need to do today, I did have some afternoon commitments with my son, so I wasn't able to do the watch list for you, but I will get onto those later on. Nikkei still looks okay, nothing to worry about there. Everything's fine in India, and that's good because that's actually picked up. It was looking a little bit dicey, but once again, I'll just head back to there. I'm going back now to India, and you can see that the long-term uptrend ribbon has done its thing again. Surprise, surprise. That's the Shanghai Composite over there, so moving back in the right direction, and the A50 shares. Notice how they haven't done as well potentially as the Hang Seng, but that is still a nice blip in the right direction. So it's interesting maybe that we didn't do a whole lot today. You can see we followed the Russell, didn't we? We followed the Russell, not the Nasdaq, and surprisingly a little bit not China. Looking at the sectors very, very quickly, discretionary is still fine. I mean, you just want to play the winners here. Energy, that looks cheap. Financials, look, equilibrium here. I did that TA for you today on the market index site, looking at the 4 banks which we've been very bullish on in our chart watch list every day, but seeing certainly some equilibrium come into those markets in the short term for the likes of ANZ, NAB, and Westpac to some extent, maybe Bank of Queensland, but Bendigo and CBA still looking relatively strong. Not panic stations, but probably knocking a little bit of risk off there and locking in some profits, partial profits. Gold looks half decent. I don't know where that gold price is going to go. Gut says down, but we'll see. I don't want to jump to any major conclusions there because overall the long-term trend is still good. Healthcare, a little bit sideways, but not anything to worry about. Technology is still fine. A couple of, little bit of dodgy candles there at the end, but not anything to worry about. Materials, Resources, second worst sector. I've put to you property actually starting to roll over a little bit. That's a bit concerning. Staples, neither here nor there. Telecommunication services, still okay. Utilities looks okay as well. Let's head over to London now, and we're going to do the base metals complex. Aluminium, on Friday was just sort of starting to look good again, and then, on Thursday was looking good. Friday took a bit of a dive. Copper starting to rally there, but not in Chicago on the COMEX exchange. Nickel bouncing along the bottom. Lead actually having a little bit of a burst. Tin, a small recovery. And zinc was looking good again on Thursday, but a little bit of a dip. I haven't done the lithium carbonate update this afternoon. As I said, I had some commitments, but for what it's worth, it looks like that seasonal restocking rally, which typically occurs around this time of the year because you need to order your materials so you can do your manufacturing ahead of the Chinese Lunar New Year celebrations late January, early Feb. It looks like that rally is just sort of flittering out. And there's nothing there in either the carbonate or the hydroxide prices, either heading over to spodumene, and they have taken a bit of a turn down also. All right, let's head over to the chart. ChartWatch screen. We're going to go to ChartWatch. Well, that's you. I don't want to see you, all due respect. It means I need to change you to somewhere else, and you are going to go away, and let's hope that Bitcoin, the chart of Bitcoin's about to appear, which actually is selected, which is weird. There it is there. No, that's not the one. That's, why won't you select? Yes, what's happened here. I haven't taken care to, there it is, it's working now. I haven't taken care to get the right screen before we started. Bitcoin, let's start on Bitcoin, might as well. It popped over 100. Last update, I think I told you I'd taken off my order to sell just below 100 on the basis that it hit there without any fear or trepidation. And I said to you that I felt it would pop over 100, and I would reduce my holdings on that move, which I did. I did take some profit off Bitcoin, so that ended up being a pretty decent trade after all. I'm going to keep a little bit in my back pocket, and if we get a pullback, maybe to the dark green zone at some stage in the future, I might add some back, but I want to keep a little just for the the novelty factor, if anything. I did also sell some Ethereum when that popped over 4,000 for exactly the same reason. I also converted all my altcoins. I actually converted those to Bitcoin in the 90s, actually, just because I knew Bitcoin was going up, so it was an easy trade. And then that was part of my sales. So I actually don't have any alts either, just as an FYI. So that's just the way I feel about crypto. I'm going to just focus my efforts on my other trading. And that's just me. That's a personal decision. I'm not talking bad about crypto, but I don't know, when Fartcoin is worth 250 million, that makes me feel like it's a place I don't really want to be. Let's start with bonds, and we might do some US bonds to start off with. Not Fartcoin, this one, certainly worth more than $200 million. The US 2-year yields, and we see those heading down, so we're seeing more expectations here that the Fed will continue to cut rates. It's good for stocks up to a certain extent. We don't want to see really weak US economic data coming out to accompany that move, because that would concern me. So I'll leave that as homework for you to determine whether that's happening or not. US 10's coming off. So a gradual decline here, we've said this many times, is good. A rapid, precipitous decline, we're all in the poop. And going back up is going to make things a little bit uncomfortable as well. Let's head over to Australia, and I think we'll keep moving. Australian yields coming down, mainly on that really weak GDP figure we saw, which is ancient history anyway, and we could have had a pickup in the last few months, and you would know from the data, because it's still telling us about the September quarter, and here we are, nearly halfway through December. But that's what that's about. We're sort of seeing first rate cut expectations coming back into April now. I'm still at May. I've been at May the whole time, I think it's at least it's closer to reality. That's probably all we need to see here. We're going to head over to the commodities, and we'll finish our whip around the grounds there. Looking at silver to start off with, and we have been talking, if you've been following my ChartWatch segments in the evening wraps, about this possibility I've got this gut feeling, for what it's worth. Hey, look, I reckon 6 times out of 10 my gut feelings play out. But I've got a gut feeling that this long-term uptrend ribbon is going to hold, and we're going to see this move back to the top of the range. And today's candle is actually starting to confirm that. That's certainly the best candle we've seen for a long time to confirm that. And actually, the short-term trend ribbon is beginning to act as dynamic demand as well. So that's looking very interesting for you silver bulls out there. I know there are a few. As I said, gold, I'm not sure. My gut after this candle, because this candle is a big confirming candle for this change of trend here. And it was unfortunate because prior to this, hey, look, it looked fantastic, and that's another case study of how things can change quickly when the fundamentals change quickly. We had Trump great sweep, and this for me was the death knell. I felt that really killed this bull market, but it hasn't followed through. So it'll be interesting to see. And if there's a lot of traders like me thinking that way and positioning that way, if for whatever reason it does start to push back up through halfway of this black candle, it's going to put a lot of those short positions, I'm not short, but it's going to put a lot of short positions under some pressure. And that can only be good for gold, right? If there's enough demand to push it up. And, I don't know. But the candles will tell you. So, close above the midpoint of that candle is going to start to look very interesting. And then a close above there, and it's on again. So that just keep an eye on that. Alternatively, and this is how 50-50 this is, and this is what's great about my style of analysis, just let the market tell you what it wants to do. Look, closing below, say, 26.25, we're probably going to complete the pattern, at least down to here, and then, beneath there we could really turn this trend. But neutral to slightly optimistic there. Well, that's the move on copper. So that was the one on the LME. That candle changed today. It was a little bit lower, but starting to sort of fill out and look half decent, but not getting too excited overall. Iron ore, they all turned. So if you looked at these just a couple of hours ago when I left the office, they were all down. Very small bites. So something's going on in Europe, I put to you, that's having a positive impact here. These are live candles. If we see them close out at those levels, iron ore, again, if you've been listening to ChartWatch or reading ChartWatch, my hunch is that the seasonal rally is going to happen. I still think it's going to happen, and that might be the candle that kicks it off. Maybe we'll look at iron ore stocks later on this evening. I also wrote up tonight the breakdown of uranium. Still short-term, long-term downtrends there for me. Quite bearish. Quite bearish also, I think, for thermal coal. Thermal coal looks very bearish. Coking coal is neither here nor there. And then the Brent crude, I'm just going in the order of very bearish or neither here nor there, is also neither here nor there, but slight downward trend. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the whip around the grounds. And I think it's always valuable to understand what's going on in the world from a macroeconomic perspective. I know it won't change the plus 1/3 that you do on that little mining stock, but for me, not only is it fascinating and interesting, but I do want to know where those red flags. That's really what it is for me. Where could those red flags come from? And that's why a good understanding of those macros are important. That's why I spend the first 15 to 20 minutes on it each Monday. Let us go to your requests now, and thank you for everybody being very patient over there, just making sure on your over here on your messages that there are no technical issues. It doesn't appear that way. Let's go to the first offline request, which is from Adonis, who's got IPX. And obviously talking about this one as a continuation play, you can see we've got a few plus 1/3 FRPs on it in the past. I think this one's pretty simple. I'm just going to copy and paste that there. There's nothing I'm worried about in these candles. That's a good candle. That's a disappointing candle compared to how good this candle was, because I would have bet my bottom dollar that this was probably going to hit $5 the next day. And that's look, it's good and it's bad. It's good that we're hovering around here at 5, because it's a bit like the Bitcoin one, right? I mean, if not for the hover, then you'd think, well, 5, there could be a blow off at 5, and it could form, an enduring point of supply. But the more time we can spend just below it, getting rid of some of the dead wood that's getting out, in lieu of 5, then we're reducing some of that latent supply in the market at 5. So that's okay. So if you see this, look, I'll leave it up to you. I know we've got this rule where when we get to a round number, and 5 is a very important round number, that we would automatically sell a third. But like I did with Bitcoin, and like I've said a few times, if you're getting very close to it with a big white candle, it's not as much of a problem as you might think. And I'm pretty sure that this is, I was going to say, we've never been to 5 before, so this is the first time we've been here. Adonis, happy to hold because, yes, as frustrating as this candle is after this candle, it's still a very good candle with this downward pointing shadow, substantially large shadow, and then today's candle is fine also on what wasn't a fantastic day. You might say, well, today's price wasn't up at all, Carl. It was flat. Maybe it was up a cent or so. But no, look at what happened within the day. That's really important. There's still plenty of demand in the system, and certainly with that and the price action and everything else, then I can't see a single reason not to hold all of our shares. And the only question mark for me is what you do, not what I do, what you do at $5, whether you still knock out the third. It is an important round number, and we're seeing, I know we keep talking about Bitcoin, but we're seeing Bitcoin is not going straight through 100, and I don't think it will either. I think it's got to pay its dues here. You've got to think that there's how many people got in at 10,000 that want to take profit at 100. It's just got to spend the time and get through that latent supply. And the only way to get through it is through time and cash coming in. If the cash is there, if the cash isn't there, then we're going to see it come down because people are going to lose faith. They're going to accept less than 100,000. They're going to accept 99, 98, and then thinking it'll never get back up there again. But we digress a little. So that's the only question I'm leaving you with, Adonis, is whether you're going to knock the third out there. I think there's less reason to do it given how it's trading here, but let's see how we go. KGN, which is one that I've run a couple of times. So I ran it on that day here as a plus 1/3, and I also ran it this day here. Both feature charts, I'm pretty sure. I haven't done my scan for tonight, but I can tell you that this when I go past this scan tonight, it will certainly make the watch list. It won't make a feature because that candle isn't quite good enough. It's a very good candle, don't get me wrong. Lovely downward pointing shadow, and you've got to think at some stage today, and this is the complete basis. This is my model is just based upon this. It's so simple that the psychology that at some stage today that candle looked like that, and that's what people just don't understand about what I do. Is this the simplicity of this, that at some stage today's candle looked like that, and what does that mean? That is a wall of supply, but it didn't finish like that. It finished like that, and the only way you can get between these two, right, is if excess demand was in the system, latent in the system, to take over from that supply. Say thank you very much. Bought the dip and pushed the price up. Didn't quite close on the high, but that's not the point, is it? The point is that downward pointing shadow. So pretty happy with that one as well. I can go FRP. I don't think you need to add if you haven't got any and you're looking for a candle. That's I think you could, yes, but I don't think you need to add any. So I'll just go FRP on that one. But very much happy with it from a turnaround perspective, and we didn't discuss why it's a turnaround because it is now a short-term uptrend. You can see that. That's step one. Step two, the long-term trend ribbon must at least be amber, so it cannot be pink. If it's green, that's even better, but it must be amber at the very least. When you see rising peaks and rising troughs, I won't draw them in because actually I don't think this one does have rising peaks and rising troughs because of this craziness. Take that craziness out, it does. Okay, so don't make me draw them, but you get the picture. And then a predominance of white candles, which really that candle created for me, and then preferably, taking out a key point of supply from the past, preferably a really nice base pattern before that as well, and preferably some volatility events along the way in that basing pattern. We've had plenty of those. So it actually really does tick all the boxes here for my turnaround setup. Adonis. Let's go to Mick's got KGN. That's very handy because I won't have to do it. Let's go to MFG. Oh, okay. Well, this is an interesting move, isn't it? And what a wonderful case study. So pretty sure that, here I've gone plus 1/3 feature chart. I'm pretty sure I featured it here. I definitely put it in the list that day, but I'm not sure if I featured it. I can't recall. And then you get this. Okay, so you can literally see big black candle move. No way you could have anticipated that. I think there might have been some news about it. Maybe it was their monthly fund flows. For whatever reason, the market didn't like it, and down it comes on a Friday. Today's response is, look, it's good in that it's a white candle and it's a full white candle, but it's disappointing in that it really didn't press further into that bar. This is it's not a species-ending event, but it's pretty darn close to it. It's certainly a compulsory minus 1/3 for me. Okay, it's just a precautionary measure. Don't like the look of that. Want to manage my risk a little. Today's candle's encouraging. I think we're going to be much more aggressive and order of magnitude, I think, going flat on a close beneath that level. 2 reasons for that. We've obviously got a little point of demand here working for us in the system, and we do believe that, well, I believe, I hope you believe too, that where there was demand in the past, in theory, there should be demand there in the future. And if there isn't, and we pass through that point because the demand isn't there and all the supply is too strong that it overwhelmed that demand, then that's a warning sign for us. And then obviously we would also be beneath the dynamic support of the short-term uptrend ribbon as well. So for me, I think I'm going to go minus 2/3 there, and lament what could have been a little bit, because it looked really good. I mean, here it's bloody awesome. You don't get to pick the next candle. Unfortunately, you get what is given to you. And sometimes the market gives you good ones, and sometimes it gives you those, unfortunately. It's frustrating. Yeah, frustrating, because otherwise we were cooking with gas. Let's go to OPT, which is more of a turnaround play, I'd say. You can see we've got some scratchings on screen where we've said, minus 1/3 on that big black candle. You can see the importance of the big black candles. MFG could play out very similar in that we had a similar response on that candle, quite a muted response. And this is so textbook here. You can see this little rally, and then confirmation. That's the confirmation candle. These two are your sign that something's really not right. The trend is probably changing. Certainly there you've got problems, and that's why I've written minus 1/3. And then we would have written like something close beneath there, which it did. Well, kudos to me and my system, because I would have saved you quite a bit of pain on Opthea if you followed. If you didn't follow, you go, oh, I did not follow. But the question here from Mick is about getting back in. It's about, is it a turnaround setup? And look, in theory it is, because we're bouncing off the long-term uptrend ribbon. That's good. Let me get rid of that, so we don't need that anymore. The short-term trend ribbon is acting as an area of dynamic demand. Is it? I can't tell. It actually kind of looks like it's potentially acting more like an area of dynamic supply. And if that's the case, then we're going to see something like this. And today's candle is consistent with that. Okay, I don't know where it's going to be tomorrow, but I can tell you today's candle is consistent with that. Tomorrow it could do anything, but this would be my expectation. If that's not the case, if indeed we do end up here, then for you, Mick, I would need one almighty, wonderful white candle, high close, just a perfect white candle to do it, to get me interested. Otherwise, I'm more in the just avoid camp on this one, because I don't like this. I don't like what it did. I don't like these cascading black candles. Like, why were they supplied? Why were they so desperate to get out in a good stock that should deliver us a low volatility uptrend? You shouldn't see that sort of downside volatility. So I'm more inclined to just keep moving. I'm going to find charts that look more like this. This is what I want to see. I want to see this part. I don't want to muck around with this part, if you get what I mean. But if you see that, I don't know if you like Opthea, you know the story, you read the fundamentals, good for you, right? Maybe you tuned in at midday some stage and somebody on some show told you that one of 10 stocks it was a buy. If that's the case, then this is where I think you need to be. For you, not me, because I already told you I'm not interested in it. I might get interested up here. It's a good, because then we've done the work. We've gotten past the balance of what's occurred. But for you, Mick, I need to see at least that before I get interested, because, just reiterating, that feels to me like the more obvious scenario. Full risk position, 1/3 plus 1/3 minus 1/3 right now. Let me make it official. I'm ZRP on this one. So ZRP, and I'm not going to put the 1/3 there because I don't believe in it. That's where I am. Let's go zero risk position. Let's go to Peter B, who's got Tiuas, which looks very good. Well done, Peter. We're asking if he should take a third off the table or stay FRP. The hardest thing you're going to do is hold on to a winner, right, all the way up. Riding that winner, like And hopefully I've made it easier for you to do. At least keep some skin in the game. I know you started off with 100 shares, you sold a third. Then you might have sold a third of that, and then a third of that, and a third of that. And in theory, if you keep selling a third of what you've got left, there's an infinitesimal number of times that you could sell until you got to one share, which you can't divide. And hopefully you'd hold that share all the way up. Hopefully I've taught you at least that much, but hopefully you hold more than that, of course, on the way. But let me tell you, the hardest thing you're going to do as a trader, that's not where I'm going. I want to go to Tiuas. Is rider winner, Peter. But I think I was going to say I think you need to. You need to do whatever you need to do. But I'm still FRP on this one. I know there's a little bit of a shadow there. We're not near any round numbers. I know this is blue sky, so that's not, there's nothing up there that I need to worry about or out there. And I just have to keep writing my winners. And that candle is not enough to tell me that the supply side has control of the price. That's really what we're talking about. Does the supply side have control of the price? Well, then you should be out, really. But before that, we would determine, is the supply side potentially taking control of the price? And that's where we start to take our risk off. When the supply side has control of the price, we're out. You get what I mean? And no, very much demand side control there, so I'm FRP on that. Would I be adding risk to this one? Not on that candle, because it's got that upper shadow. Okay, but I'm pretty sure I ran it that day. I definitely ran it that day. I'm not sure if it featured, but it certainly got in. I think I featured it on that day. Look, it's all there in black and white. I can't hide from what I've done, and I stand by what I've done. Let's go to AAR. Last time I looked at FRP 1/3. I'm pretty sure this has been making the watch list as well. And it will tonight. I don't know what time I'll get to them, but I'll get to them for you. It will tonight, because that candle is fine and everything else is more than fine. So we're going to do, just copy that one and we'll go paste there. And this one, yes, also for Peter B. Happy holder of that one. Peter, let me just zoom normal. It's important I get back to my default zoom before I go on to the next chart and the next. And Peter's last one is, coincidentally, the Bitcoin Trust. Okay, I've told you what I did on Bitcoin. I've taken some off the table. That might frame the conversation here. I've also told you that I expect Bitcoin might spend some time here. I think it has to pay its dues a little bit at 100. I don't think it's going to get through it all that easily. Will it get to 1 million? I don't know. I don't know, and I don't care. I'll just trade the trends as they are there. Overall, the trends, and there's no point looking at this chart, Peter. It's completely irrelevant. This chart is meaningless. We need to look at the Bitcoin chart. Okay, so let's quick. I know we touched on it, but let's quickly go back there, and I'll give you a comment on that. BTC, USD, and or I could do it this way. It's down the bottom here. There we go. Click on that. The trends are still very much intact. The price action is still high peaks and high troughs. There is the small issue of this massive indecision candle, which tells us all is not absolutely right, and that was on the day where it pushed through and I got some out. I honestly didn't see it do that, because as soon as I got out, I locked out of my crypto trading platform and I didn't look at it again. That's the way I feel about it. And I think you do well after you get out of stuff to do the same sort of thing. So I didn't see that, but yeah, it does indicate again that it's this idea of not all plain sailing. Otherwise, it's fine. White candles closing towards the high of that shadow is going to put the FOMO back into this market, and certainly it could do 110, 120. Who knows from there? Alternatively, and I actually think this is the least case, or the least most likely scenario. You'll see something like this candle form, and then it might ebb away, and it would not surprise me one bit to see this for 100 to be the top for 3 to 6 months, and it just do this. And that's not bad for Bitcoin. And that's what I said to you really at the start of this. I got some out, and then I want to see what it does at the long-term uptrend movement to add some back in. So that's my strategy at the moment. They're the technicals based upon my model. I think they're all self-evident, and then that should frame the discussion for this. But there's no point looking at that chart. I'm not even going to draw on that chart, because that chart is meaningless. It represents the other chart. Let's go to different Peter. I promise you, Peter Mac. This one, COS, which is Cosol, which I'm trying to figure that one out. Let's go zoom normal. Yeah, zoom normal. I don't know what to make of this one. Super sketchy. It's obviously quite liquid. That doesn't mean we can't trade it. It just means it's illiquid. If I have to pause and take that long to figure stuff out, it's usually not a good sign. This is the play here, so it's more of a turnaround play. Okay. And I could say things like, well, if you see the right candle there, but I don't think you're going to see the right candle there, because look at these candles. They're nonsensical. Like they're blocks or shadows. They're nonsensical. So I don't know what you need to see there. Bunch of blocks, bunch of white blocks, and then it might be okay. And only then. So let me just say, I'll just kind of draw what you need to see. So this block of cluster of whites, if you see those in there, then perhaps you could add a third. I'll be honest with you, it's not one I would personally pay a lot of attention to, because it's just not what I'm looking for necessarily. So maybe it's a really great company. If that's the case, certainly that's how you would deal with it on a technical basis, Peter Mac. Let's go to Craig, who's got Zip. We've got some problems here. Last time we looked at it was, I don't know, one of these candles. One of these, I don't know, one of those. Maybe it was that one, because if it was here, I might have even said knock a third off there, but we must have looked at it there, as I said, on that candle, you're still going to hold on to it, which is absolutely the case. On this candle here, I think that's also another plus 1/3 candle, and that's really it. None of those are so good to require a third. That's not a terrible candle there, but I wouldn't add a risk on that. It's just too far down. It's heading the wrong direction. We wanted that to be up here, closer to this point of supply. And then you've got the interaction with the point of supply through here. That's what the point of supply does. Upper shadow. Here's the problem candle. That's the manage the risk candle, because it's taken us beneath that. It hasn't taken us beneath that, so that's okay, but it also took us beneath the short-term uptrend ribbon. There wasn't a lot of indication that was going to happen, to be fair. Where would I be here? Look, no doubt about it, minus 1/3. That's compulsory. For the close beneath the short-term trend ribbon, given the severity of that black candle, if you did 2/3, I wouldn't complain. If you have it, I think on a close beneath here, you're probably going to go to zero risk position beneath there, particularly if it's a black candle, a low close. So if you've got 2/3 left, close beneath that, but a lower shadow, you might hold the last third, but close beneath that black candle, low close, then knock the whole lot out. If you've got a third, then your question is already answered. You've only got a third, so you would do the final bit underneath here. And if it goes, it goes. That's Zip, done for a while, probably. It's had a great run. At some stage, it was always going to find equilibrium, a point where, the demand in the system is meeting the supply in the system. It goes sideways at best. That's all the offline requests. Going to your online requests. Donna saying, evening Carl, love your thoughts on the following USA stocks. We'll do those at the end as we work our way back up the list. Let's go to Francine, thoughts on Sol, SOL. Which is starting to look pretty good, Francine. I think we looked at it here, didn't we? I can't remember what I said. I might have said something like FRP, but not prepared to add risk yet because of this giant zone of supply. It's not really a point of supply, is it? It's a ZOS. It's a zone of supply. It's the mother of all ZOSes, isn't it? It's an MZOS, an MOA ZOS. That's a new one. I've just made that up. An MOA ZOS, mother of all ZOSes. And yes, what we want is a good showing in that zone. Today's candle isn't bad at all. It's pretty solid. I would have liked it to close higher. Ironically, I was going to say, I would have liked to see a candle like that, but ironically, look what happened after that. So even that wasn't sufficient. Such is the MOA ZOS. Look, If it's something you've got an affinity with, Francine, if it's a company you really love, I don't know, it's like Berkshire Hathaway, this one, isn't it? Then I think it's close enough today, okay, even with that little upper shadow. Certainly if you've got an FRP, no complaints. If you don't, you can go plus 1/3. I want to see another candle. I want to see another candle, okay. So I want to avoid any confusion here. I think technically, based upon my model, that's what that is. Personally, an extra layer of confidence on top of that, personally, I would like to see a nice candle. Something like this. Give me one more. Just give me one more. That's what I would say. Okay, so I'm giving you a little bit of an option there. I don't think you're going to go too far wrong either way. Let's go to Francine's second one, which is the Bitcoin Trust. So we've already done that one. That's handy. Avant's got, hello everybody. Hello, Avant. Can you please look at 360? Okay, yeah, let's do that. That had a big drop today. I don't know why. I know a couple of weeks ago, one of the founders sold down some shares. But I dug and I couldn't find anything today about that Avant. And the Nasdaq had a great trading session. So if you know something as to why that occurred, let me know. Not that it matters to me, of course, but it helps. It makes me feel better if I do know why it gapped. So not just a normal candle. That is, yeah, it's concerning. And it's like many we've seen tonight where everything was going really good. I know there's a few not ideal candles here, but we all agree they're not enough to push us out of a trade. All right. So FRP through this whole thing until we get to here. And the thing is about this candle is you can't. If you can look at it as a gap. Yes, there's a gap there, but in your mind you need to fill that gap. Okay. And what are you going to fill it with? Think about what you must fill it with. Right. It must be filled. Not sure if I can get it as thin as we would like. So let me do it like this. So imagine that's just the candle. We've got to fill it with a black candle. Okay. And if we're looking at that now, this is why I want you to feel that either mentally or just draw it on the screen. Now we've got a significant problem. Is that a species-ending event? It's not far off it. And I think this was the day maybe that we found out that the insiders were selling. Markets tend not to like that. And we could be in for this sort of a, volatility move. And you can see we obviously looked at this last time, didn't we? And we said minus a third here. We said if it closed under here, it was going to be a zero risk position. So I think maybe we hung on to a third. I don't know, a third on this one. And I think we've got to just copy and paste that because I think that's where we're at. So I think as a precautionary measure, just knocking out a third, you've still got 2/3. I would be concerned if we close beneath there, and then it's so far away to the next one. I would just go on candles, big black candles, any sort of rally, any trough that then finds another big black candle as confirmation of the move. These would all be paths to a lower risk position. So minus 1/3, that's my feeling straight off, and then just monitoring it very closely from here. Obviously, we're not going to add any risk to that one. I don't know what happens, and that's unfortunately as frustrating as it is when I say this. That's markets, and there you go. That's your second one. So I know you would be tearing your hair out right now because you had what looked like two great trades. And so unlucky that they're both. There he is. The rest of his comment saying both black candles had big black. Both stocks had big black candles minus 1/3. I think you're right. But we've got to put ourselves in those positions, don't we? Because you've seen how those trends do persist. And if there were a round number or something there, we could say, oh, well, that was a reason to get out, but there wasn't. Let's go to Michael, also asking about Kogan. So it's good people are identifying this. Michael also asking about MFG. So clearly a bunch of people were on that one. And I'm surprised that so many people ask about OPT, because I personally can't see that one. But it seems to be popular today. Going to Robert, who's a few people giving that a thumbs down. Robert, who's asking about ARN. Oh, okay, well, that's going well. Now, does this ring a bell? I don't know. Aldoro Resources. I don't think I put this in, did I? But Robert, I wonder if you are Robert, tell me, are you already on this, or are you thinking about getting it? I think we're a little bit too late for the thinking about getting it. So that upper shadow there tells me that we've found supply, and we're always going to find it at some stage, right? So, but I wonder if you saw this, Robert, and just knowing how these things have evolved. You've seen this type of setup so many times. I've presented these very similar setups to this to you, and you know that they go, right? And ordinarily, a year ago or 2 years ago before you met me, you would just walk away from those. But now you know, don't fear those. 8 to 10, up 50%, up 100% in a day. People go, oh, I can't buy that. You're going, oh, there's something interesting going on there. I wonder if you did it. I don't think we can do anything with it now, though. But I like what you're seeing. I like your eye. Yeah. Let's keep going then to MTM. Now, this was a big problem today. Okay, so obviously this one, next high close plus 1/3. I don't know, maybe we got it. Or maybe it was this, I don't know when I wrote it, maybe that was it. I certainly ran it as a feature on that day and on that day there, and I'm pretty sure I ran it for this one as well. And then today, there's your, that's it, big black candle. I hope people are in from the earlier one rather than the later one, so your worst case scenario is not so bad. But even if you go to the last one, it's still, I think that's more than a third, isn't it? I'd go minus 2/3 and at most a third remaining. So just to reiterate that, 1/3 risk position as a max for me, to maybe just see if it can print another white candle, if it can get itself out of this funk, if I can maybe extricate myself from that last third at a better level. That's all I'm really thinking of there. And if you're going to trade these things and you are going to be surprised by that, then you shouldn't trade these things, because that is part and parcel of this game. Okay, that's part and parcel of what you're getting yourself into with these. Okay, and we're going to these things eyes wide open, knowing what they can do to the upside, trying to capture as much of that as we can, but also not getting stuck in them. Okay, we don't love these things. We prefer not to know what they do. I know the chat rooms will tell you, but we're just looking at them as pure price action. And TMG, which is heading back up, which is good. Last time we looked at it, might have been somewhere around here. We said plus 1/3, did we? That might have been a reluctant plus 1/3 from me, saying, oh, okay, if you like it, sort of thing. There it started to look quite good, because I'd say we're over the balance point. Pull back, test, hold. I think it's fine. Yeah, I think this is the best it's looked since this pullback. No doubt about it. This is the best it's looked since then because of this price action, this move here. Okay, so we're back into rising troughs. We're back into rising peaks. We've got a test and a hold of the short-term trend ribbon, which is now acting as dynamic demand. So I'm pretty happy with all of this. This is the best it's looked since the pullback, and I think it looks good enough now for me to give you a confident FRP if you've got it, and a plus 1/3. And yes, I would definitely run this in tonight's watch list, and depending on what else is out there, it might also get a feature, but I would want to make sure it's in the top, top of the group. Let's go to Hoozle. Hoozle's got PAR, which is all over the show today. All over the show. It still printed a big white candle, so I think we could hang on to it. What do we say? Plus 1/3 here. Didn't cover it that day. If you got out a third, no big deal. If you've still got everything, that's fine. We just need a line in the sand, so let's get rid of some of these. That's really all we're looking for. I think the bottom of today's candle is a very sensible place for it. I don't want to see it close beneath there. And if it did, again, this is about a good time, not a long time. Okay, the good time could be substantial. I mean, it could explode. But the bad times, as we can see, are pretty bad. So let us just be careful and be disciplined about these things. And for me, look, 100% close below is minus 1/3 as a minimum, as an absolute minimum. But depending on the candle, potentially more. And I'm gonna upgrade that. I'm gonna go minus 2/3 as a minimum, and maybe it's keep a 1/3 skin in the game only on a close beneath there, because it would be, if we get beneath there, we've got this. This is the problem. That's the problem, And then if we do get beneath there, we've got the lower peak. And we've got so much demand exhibited from here, right, that we really shouldn't get down there. We should not be down there. So one reason, two reasons, closing beneath there is the third reason, and closing beneath that candle itself is kind of the fourth reason. So as I say, close beneath there, minus 2/3 as a minimum. Let's go to NVQ. Man, that's good. Certainly one I put in fairly recently. I'm pretty sure I ran it here as a feature chart. And getting back to Robert, who asked me about ARN, these are the sorts of ones which so many people, a stock that goes from 2 cents and that's all of a sudden 8 cents, your brain would automatically rule it out of contention to buy, but it's just not the way the market operates. If you've got it, FRP, no question about that. This will be in the watch list tonight, no doubt about that, and it will be a feature, no doubt about that as well. I don't know where it's going to go. Could print another MTM candle tomorrow, but I have to trade what I see. Very happy with that one. FMG, so David, we did say we're going to look at the iron ore theme, because I think the seasonal rally for iron ore is starting. I think it is. It's happened every year for about the last 12 years. Why wouldn't it happen this year? So let's have a look at Fortescue. It's still not great, is it? What would it need to do to print a buy for us? Quite a bit. Look, when I say quite a bit, is how likely is this to happen? As likely as the seasonal rally, I guess. I need to see something like that. I mean, we're still long-term downtrend sort of stuff, aren't we? It's not an aggressive trade because we don't have that beautiful basic pattern. If anything, we're still seeing very much the respecting of that long-term trend. This is encouraging. Short-term trend ribbon is back to up. There's nothing really so major here to suggest that we've had that big volume blow-off. So the technicals here aren't really predicting or forecasting that seasonal rally at this stage, are they? So I think you know where I have to be with this. Obviously, I'm set RP. I've given you some indication of what needs to happen, but I think we're a long way away from that. Let's go to Perry. If I could ask you to not put any more new ones in. Obviously, we're just clicking over 10 to 8 today local time. We've still got US stocks to go and a UK stock as well. Perry's got ASX stocks SB2. Oh, looks wonderful. Salter Brothers emerging company. So I'm guessing this is, well, it doesn't say ETF, does it? And it's only got a 3-letter code, so it's not an ETF. I wonder what this is about. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research out of this. Let's go weekly chart. So fairly new, hasn't been around for all that long, and listed sort of mid-2022. That weekly chart looks very good too, by the way, given that we're there. And I might just go back because I just want to double check if there's anything sort of sinister lying in wait for us. And there's a little level here, but you can see it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it wasn't a major level in itself, but we're not far away from it. It's not going to change my thinking when we look at what's happening here. It's, look, I'm not too stressed out about it. We're miles away from $1. The short-term trend is very good. The long-term trend is very good, emerging. And the price action is good. The candles are wonderful. So I can't see any reason not to own this. I'm an FRP, plus 1/3. Definitely getting some risk in on that one. A BRG also will make the list. It's been on the list a few times recently. I'm pretty sure I featured it on that day there. Let's go ditto on the last one. FRP plus 1/3. I don't think we're required much explanation on that one. NVQ, Perry's got that one as well. So we've done that one. That Hoosel had it. FRP plus 1/3. And Perry's final one, AUN. Aurumin Gold Company is my guess, with a name like that. Nothing really sinister here. There is a bit of a level here, but it's going back to the start of 2022. And, it's more, we're just going to be mindful. When we get there, we'll look at the candles there. If they're really sinister, we might act. But it's not going to prevent me from doing this trade at all. And the trade itself, I think, looks quite good. Short-term uptrend ribbon looks very good. The long-term uptrend ribbon is now well established. The price action through here looks rising peaks and rising troughs, and the candles are really good. Those last three are perfect, and today's candle is, like, you cannot fault it. It is as good as it gets. I cannot fault this, so we're going to go FRP plus 1/3 also. On that one, so some really nice setups there. Thank you both, Cosol and Perry. The rest of these look like US stocks. They do look like US stocks. So I'm going to head back up the list. We're going to change screens, and we're going to go to the offline requests in the US first, and that will bring us to, might just change that over to the one with the volume. And what I can do, no, I was going to say I'll change it to the one with the volume and the volatility, but we haven't been drawing in that one. So the drawings we do have will we won't see them, so we'll just keep it consistent, stay here. The first one is Craig, TSLA, Tesla. You might have heard about it. Last time we talked about it was somewhere around here, FRP next high close. Certainly you would have got it plus 1/3. We talked about it here. We said there's nothing so sinister in there to push us out of the trade, so hang on. FRP, there was a signal to buy on this candle here as well to add even more risk to it. This candle probably not because of the upper shadow, but certainly this candle, yes, that's an add risk candle. With $400, I'm going to put to you as not an important round number because I'm betting we've been there before. In fact, 400 was the end of the last bull market. Ladies and gentlemen, the round number syndrome. But this is not our first radio at 400 this time, so we are not fussed about it, I feel. And therefore, all I can see here is a wall of excess demand, and that requires a plus 1/3 full risk position, obviously, if you're on it, and plus 1/3 if you're not. Let's go to Peter Mac, who has AMZN, Amazon, another big company, you might have heard of it. Let's go to the weekly chart here. You could be bashing your head against the brick wall with COS. I don't want to denigrate the person who gave me Cosol, but that was the sketchiest of sketchiest charts. Or you could be trading Amazon and Tesla. We are in blue sky, or blue sky enough, I put to you, and with an exemplary candle. How good is that? And here we were, maybe with some trepidation about what was playing out in this bull market, but looking at these charts here, the fund managers aren't showing a lot of trepidation. They're putting money into the market, and wonderful short-term trend. Price action is good. Candles are perfect, and therefore FRP plus 1/3 on Amazon. Click save. Let's go to Peter Mac's second one, Current. And this is one I don't know. I haven't heard about this one. It's actually Caru. It looks like Cosol, but better because it's heading up. Sketchorama, that would be my first concern. But Sketchorama and Blue Skies is a better combination than Sketchorama and not, isn't it? I'm okay with this one, and the volume looks good down there. This is a punt, so you might want to just keep your risks small. I know we're at $50, but no, we're not showing any fear of it. I think this requires some risk. It might be a plus 1/6 or something, but just some skin in the game. And the only reason why I'm downgrading that is just the sketchiness of those candles, but it does, I think, deserve some risk. Peter Mac. Let's go to the one UK stock we've got, also Peters and Galleon Gold, not Galleon Gold on the TSX. I'm curious, what does Galleon Gold look like on the TSX? No, it looks rubbish. GGO in the UK. So we're heading down here to, I don't have it. Let's go stocks. Well, unless you've given me the wrong code there, Peter, but I don't have a GGO in the UK. And let me go over here and check your original email, because maybe I've typed it down wrong. A GGP. I'm so sorry. That's my fault. GGP. And we can find it now. Greatland. Oh, it's another gold stock anyway. Greatland Gold. Well, it's not that good, Peter. So it wouldn't have mattered so much if I didn't find it. It's not terrible, but you can see there's still lots of work to do, especially if you're watching the recording, Peter. You probably obviously said you're tuning in from New Zealand, and God knows what hour it is there. I think even the sheep are fast asleep. The ones we looked at before, Amazon, Tesla, are absolutely magic. And I don't think you need to mess with Mr. In Between here. But if it's a stock you have some sort of personal affinity with, I can't imagine why. then a next high close, and it would have to be a wonderful, wonderful white candle closing. I'm going to say 8.15 to 8.20 at least, then I could entertain it. But really, for me, it's a pass. But thank you for contributing anyway with some of those other really wonderful charts for us. Let's go to your online requests now, and we're going to go back up the screen, starting with Matthew, who's got AUR, which I was going to say is another gold stock. That was my guess, but it's not. Aurora Innovation, which looks very, very good. Bit of a sort of an uncertain recent history, though, isn't it? So that concerns me a little. I'd love to see clean, low volatility. You know, the leopard isn't changing its spots with the recent move. The leopard is changing its spots a little bit for the better. Don't get me wrong. All good there. This is all very, very fluid on the way down, so there's every chance it's falling the way up. $10, I don't think that's going to be a major issue. It's not our first rodeo at 10. I can't fault it otherwise. So yes, FRP for me. And just weigh it up, against some of the other ones we've seen tonight. But in and of itself, there's absolutely no complaints from me on that one. Let's go to CLS, which is Celestica. That's more of a low volatility uptrend, isn't it? So, we're getting some sort of consistency there. Look, is $100 a problem? I'm going to bet that this is the first time we're coming to 100. It's like Bitcoin. It might take a week, 2 weeks. It might be the top. I don't know if you want to mess with it this close. And that is enough for me to just pass it on that basis. And just, I don't mind buying it at 99.80 with a big white candle after it's spent 2 weeks at 100. And I'm quite confident now 100 is not a problem. It's like 400 on Amazon. It was the top for, 18 months. I know it might sound a bit flippant. Carl, it's just a number. But there is a psychology around numbers that I feel can't be ignored. Having, if you want to put that aside, though, Matthew, then it does meet the criteria. Let's go to IREN, I should say, which is IREN Limited. A little bit of upper shadow there. Look, I think we're still dealing with this supply. I think we are manifesting supply from this old point of supply, and that is a really major point of supply. How do I know it's a major point of supply? It got smashed from there. There was a wall of supply. And I think that candle tells me I'm manifesting some supply. And then even today's shadow tells me as well. Now, that's not a deal breaker because we're dealing with it. How do we get through some levels of supply? Well, we deal with them and we trade. We trade in and around there. And we put white candles in up there. Let's have a look at this. If we get through this, then we've got a couple, not just one, but a couple. And this rally was enough to say that, yes, we got enthusiastic. We dragged demand into the system to have that demand get stuck and caught in the market up at these levels. We did it twice. So I'd say there is probably some latent demand up and around that system that may need to be dealt with. It's not all, well, I was going to say, so that is actually pretty old. It's in the middle of 2022. I was thinking it was more 2023. Well, that allows me to discount it a little bit, but I'm not so sure compared to some of the other ones we've seen whether, for me, this is as good as those. It's not terrible, don't get me wrong, but at some stage, if you've got $1 to invest, you can only put it in so many places. And I'm questioning whether this is better than some of the other ones we've seen. If I had it, I could certainly hold it. I don't think I'm adding until I have, very simple here. So again, I'm not discounting this completely. I'm saying, let me see a next high close to tell me that I've dealt with that point of supply. And if I saw that, well, let me say FRP first. If I've got it, I'm happy to hold it. Next high close, then I could go plus 1/3 on that. But again, there is a little level not far away that is just nagging in the back of my mind. Let's go to Perry's US 3 here. RCL, sorry, to start off with. Let me just escape that, undo that. RCL. Royal Caribbean, yeah, okay. Well, there you go. This is the epitome of this low volatility uptrend, ladies and gentlemen. I need you to burn this into your retina. These are the charts that we want. And for all you baby boomers out there going back on your cruises, this is what you're creating for Royal Caribbean. And if that's you, then wonderful. Good luck to you. You might as well own shares in the damn place as well. So there is no question about this one at all. It can only be one thing, FRP, plus 1/3, not 1/6, 1/3, or if you wanted to do mine. And I put 1/3, it's up to you what you do, of course, but that's just the nature of the model. Getting it in thirds. And if you had done that, keep in mind, of course, well, you would have bought a third on that day, wouldn't you? You would have probably bought a third, yes, definitely on that day, definitely on that day, definitely on that day. And we just didn't look at it on these days. But these are all plus 1/3 signals. So when I say, oh, you might look at it, why are you only getting a third here, Carl? It's just the way the model works. These are all plus 1/3 candles. Okay, so we build into the risk. We build our risk as the market demonstrates to us that it deserves that risk. There's a 1/3 candle there. Probably not that one, just because of the upper shadow, but it is very good. You could almost put that one as well. Let's click save and keep going to TAC, which is Perry's second one, Transalta. That looks very good. Let's go to the weekly chart to see if there's anything. Thank goodness for that. Nothing for me to worry about in the past. Unless I go to the monthly chart, and that was a mistake. Don't worry, it doesn't exist. It's too long ago. Nobody, I did that on purpose, of course. Nobody is in here from November 11 who's held all this time that's going, oh, fine, I'm getting my $14 back. I just... Look, there might be, but not enough to move the market. So that's blue sky as far as I'm concerned. The candles are excellent. The price action's excellent. Look, we had a little bit of a wobble here, but before that, there was actually a very low volatility uptrend as well. So therefore, can't fault this one. FRP plus 1/3 risk for me. Click save. And Perry's third one is TWLO, which is Twilio. Is that Twilio? Twilio, oh, wonderful. One we've covered a few times, it seems. Oh, why did I say minus? Oh, it was 100. Okay, that's it. Well, there you go. Such a wonderful case study, isn't it? And we might see this happen with the other one that I talked about, which was coming up to $100. We might just see something like this. And that's when I want to get involved, right there. Now I'm not worried about 100. Do you see the difference? Now I'm not worried about 100. I'm loving this one. And that's what we might see on the other one. There's your plus 1/3. There's your plus 1/3. We obviously haven't covered this for a little while. There's your plus 1/3 there. And also, that last candle is also a plus 1/3. And we're going to go FRP once again. And plus 1/3. On that basis, move it over there and click save. Thank you, Perry, for those three. Going to Rapam, who has FTAI. And we've done this one fairly recently as well. Oh, that's disappointing. I mean, this is compared to what the rest of the market's doing, isn't it? That is disappointing. Do you stick with it? And Rapam, I'm sure you're very frustrated because you're watching some of these other ones go up. I think you could stick with it for a little bit longer. It's very close, though, to taking at least some risk off the table. And none of these candles in and of themselves are all that awful, are they? It's just this very gradual, frustrating, death by, not 1,000 cuts, by probably about 7 or 8. None of these are, even that is hardly a sell signal. And then did you get a little peak there? I don't think so. Is that a high and a high low? Probably not. That one is. Oh, look. At worst, we're a third off the table, and if you haven't done anything, let me just go. Look, I think it's kind of around here. Don't worry, I'll move this in a second. So I've got the magnet on, which snaps everything, and that does make it a little bit difficult to draw sometimes. But a close under there, I think, is where you're going to manage your risk. Look, at least a third there, and I'm just going to say at least because we can always come back to this one. It's just taking a long time. So, look, 100% keeping some skin in the game, but just freeing up some capital maybe to go do something that's a bit more productive. And Rapam identifying that as well, asking should he be ZRP on this. I don't think it's that bad at all. I mean, look at the long-term trends. The most likely scenario here is white candle, white candle, white candle, and it just and then you'll be laughing about this in a few days. Let's hope so. e.l.f. e.l.f. Beauty as a turnaround play, very close. Not far away. Yeah, I think it's definitely one you want to keep an eye on. Let's have a look on the way up. Does it have the pedigree? It certainly did. It was certainly one that captured the market's attention. Nothing lasts forever. We've washed out some supply. Is the demand coming back in a strong fashion? This candle is very impressive. This push here, yeah, we're definitely a volume event. We're back into short-term uptrend. So that's encouraging. Got that. Price action is looking okay. We're just lacking the neutralisation of the long-term trend ribbon. I do want to see that. I want to see that go amber. You've got my trend ribbons, Rupam, so you'll know when it goes amber. It'll literally turn amber. You'll tune in one morning and it'll be amber. That's what I like to see. It just holds me back. It just prevents me from getting in too early. Okay, we need something objective, not subjective, to tell us when things are turning around. That's why we have the model. A nice white candle, high close. I'm not going to write on the screen. I don't think we need to, because this needs more cooking. But you're on the right track in saying this could be a turnaround at some stage in the near future. Let's go NVDA. You might have heard of this one as well. NVIDIA Corporation. It's been in the news a little bit lately. Looked at it here, FRP plus 1/3. You know, still adding risk, I think, to here. But no, since then, we've got some problems. Certainly taking some risk off the table here. Certainly a third here. I think you've still got 2/3. So this is order of magnitude, I think, of where you are. You're kind of a plus 2/3 RP, risk position. That's not adding 2/3. I'm saying you've got 2/3 risk at this point in time. And then you're probably going to go to ZRP under here. And when could you add risk to it? So ZRP under there. And you're not really adding risk till sort of question mark. That's not a question mark. That's a question mark, sort of next high candle up there for adding risk if that were to occur. But let's see it happen first. Let's go to, I've done those. We're pretty close, I think, to the end here, everybody. Robert's got some US ones, APLD, Applied Digital Corporation. Let's get our default zoom going here. Looks good. We've got the bare bones, or the basic bones. The bones are good. Something about the bones, definitely. Let's go to the weekly chart and see what's cooking out here. There's a big level here. Yeah, it's a big level, sort of mid last year. Not that old. The market will definitely have a little bit of memory about that one. After that, we're fine. But we're close to it. Look, it's sort of 1160, isn't it? So let's just go back and see where we are. Yeah, it might just need a little bit more cooking. Look, again, maybe I'm being a bit pedantic here. Otherwise, it's good. Look, short-term trend, you can see that, double green. That's very, very easy to see. This trough here, coming in at or above that one there. So that's very strong. I know there's a little bit of a lower peaks and lower troughs in here, but that's okay. This is the one we care about. That one and that one. This is the point of supply. This is the holding of that point of supply. Short-term uptrend ribbon is perfect in terms of indicating where dynamic demand is. We've got some shadows here. We're still working. You can see we're really dealing with that old supply level, I think. All of this, maybe part of it's 10, maybe part of it's that old supply level. But I think there's some sort of influence there, some sort of reason for conservatism in the market. Look, if you've got an FRP, no question about it, but we're going to need at least a next high close. And I really think probably, what's that high there? That high's 1126. What is this 1132 business? I don't know. But I'm going to say 1150-ish. And then I think we're in the clear. Okay. Let's go to SERV, which is Serve Robotics. Looks interesting. Look, that's a daily chart. Yeah, when I do this, and it's this. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on here, because you kind of got nothing. I mean, this is nothing. You've got this craziness, then you've got this wall of supply candles, like just avoid it like the plague, and then it's gone into a dormant slumber, and then you got belted again, and like really strong committed supply, and then it's going up somehow on candles that don't make any sense, and then two good candles. It's a bit much for me. This could be the best trade ever. I don't know. It's not awful. Where do you want me to go with this? I think we can figure it out, right? Where we're going with this one. It's a punt. It would only be a punt. It's not awful. Like, it's a big black candle. It just needs to clear this, and then anything can happen again. Volume is okay, but It's not this, is it? But it's okay to get it started. A few people putting their thumbs down. If we've got to think this long and hard about it, it's probably a thumbs down. And compared to some of the other ones we've seen today, maybe we don't need to spend any more time on it. But hey, Robert, throw them up there. We'll have a look at them. EQIX, if only to get some, some bearings. Now this one is interesting in that there's not a lot of price action on it. What is going on there? Let me try that again. I must have typed it in wrong. EQIX. I think I went to Brazil there. So I don't have it. I must, mate, just double check that one for me, Robert. EQIX on the NYSE. So I don't have an EQ. I'll definitely type it in right there. I've gone all. Oh, Equinix. There you go. Well, why do I have to go to all? Trading View. This looks wonderful. Well done, Robert. There's no, notice I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing this. This one I can sit here in the middle of my screen and look at it and say 2 thumbs up. So very happy with this one. Let me go to the weekly chart. There's nothing there for me to worry about, and we're all good here. So yes, FRP plus 1/3. No questions about that one. Nice and easy for me. Thank you. Thank you for giving me an easy one. To finish on, I'm pretty sure Adonis has got his US ones. SHOP. We're very close now. Shopify. Adonis, just that last candle. Otherwise, I hope you're on this one. I hope you are on it because there's every reason to be on it. It looks fantastic. And yes, Adonis is on this, and that is wonderful. 120 is not a round number. I'm not worried about that. FRP, that last candle is not ideal, obviously. We don't like those upper shadows, but it's so minuscule. It's so insignificant within the context of this trend that I'm not worried about it. So I'm happy to keep going on this one. Yes, there's a little bit of supply. It's going to start creeping in the high 120s. So just keep that in mind. It just doesn't mean you have to get out now. Watch the candles in the high 120s. If you start to see those big black candles, long upper shadows, it's telling you that we are seeing supply manifest there. But otherwise, FRP for me, no reason to change course on that one. PLTR, which is of course your artificial intelligence stock, Palantir Technologies. Gangbusters, wonderful. I'm pretty sure you asked me about this one fairly recently. I can't see any markings, but I'm pretty sure you're on it. Yes, you are on it. That's what I want to hear. Plus 1/3. Adonis, I wouldn't be selling a single share. If anything, I'm adding risk to this one because guess what I'm thinking? Yeah, just like old Bitcoin had a date with 100,000, I can see this one having a date with you know what, okay? And that's just the way things work. When you get this close to that round number, guess what the supply side does? The supply side just shuts up shop. They're all thinking they're going to get $100, so they stop supplying, like they're all holding. And you just need that FOMO, that demand, that FOMO. Adonis, between you and me, it could be all bullshit, right? And it probably is, Adonis. The stock will probably be $10 in 10 years from now. Who knows? Who cares? But whilst it's going, we're going to ride this thing. We're going to wring every last freaking dollar out of this thing. And often we get that supply vacuum into these major round numbers on stocks that are that have just captured the market's attention. That are, they're all over the Robinhood chat rooms and and the like. And the fervor just feeds on themselves. And of course, every value investor is pulling their hair out, going, the market has lost their mind. I can't buy this. You've got all these young punks, trading on Robinhood, isn't that? That's terrible. It's terrible. They're all gonna lose their money. It's it's gonna end horribly. You know what, mate? You're probably right, but you're gonna miss out on huge alpha between now and then. And on that cheery KTOS, nearly got to leave on a cheery note where I'm just denigrating the good name of value investors. This one looks very good. No complaints. Adonis, you can see this thing here on the weekly chart. Let's go back to the daily chart because that's where we really should be looking. All good there. No complaints for me on that one. Looks as good as any of the other ones. This is a bit of a concern, but we've come back from it so well. Look, it's not exactly that low volatility uptrend prior, right, for the leopard, but hey, the leopard's, I think, looking pretty good, so we're going to go FRP there. Okay, that is us for the evening. Let me head back to the PowerPoint presentation and sign off with the disclaimer. I know I butchered it at the start, but I'll do it properly here. The nature of this presentation is general. Information is general. It has not considered your personal financial circumstances, objectives, or particular needs. So before acting upon any of this general information, you should consider it very, very carefully or seek the help of a financial professional to determine its appropriateness for you. Markets are risky. Markets go up, markets go down. You could lose money. There could be a big bloody black candle coming up right next, and you won't see it coming. Unfortunately, you can't blame me for that. That's the market's fault, and you are responsible for what you do in the market. On that somber, yes, but very accurate note, has been a pleasure chatting with you this evening. I hope you had fun. I did too. All the best for your trading and investing until we catch up again. Bye-bye for now.